This is a quick review of what we did at the workshop at Health 2.0 2017. So the goal of the workshop was to give people some experience with what it might be like to do something like the method described in this book, Sprint, written by some guys from Google Ventures. It's an amazingly quick process for identifying a problem, coming up with ideas for solutions to that problem, selecting an idea, and then prototyping and testing that idea. Normally it happens in a week, but we did it in just a few hours, a kind of shortcut version of it. So in a week-long sprint, participants get together from 10 to 5 every day. And it's usually a small number of people, about 7 people, give or take, kind of an Ocean's 11 sort of team with designers, engineers, product managers, and other people from within the organization who understand the customers and the market. And on Monday, they get together, they map out the problem space, identify where they want to focus after talking to some experts. And then on Tuesday, they go through a process of they make a decision about which solution they want to try out, and then on Thursday they prototype, and finally on Friday they test. In our 2-hour process, we first of all selected a problem, which was how might we use artificial intelligence to help elderly people remember to take their medication. And we adjusted this slightly to say, how might we use artificial intelligence to help them take their medication if they're choosing not to take it because they're experiencing side effects. So instead of taking all day Monday to make a map that might look something like this with the actors down the left and the goal on the right hand side, we did that in about 10 minutes. And we had a map actually prepared already that we didn't use, but we had it ready just in case the workshop participants didn't make it all the way through. But they did a great job and actually had a lot more in their map than we did. I should mention that we had about 40 participants instead of the 7 that you might normally have, or the 15 that we were thinking might want to spend 2 hours of a conference in this workshop. So that was pretty exciting in lots of ways. We picked a target, so we skipped the expert interviews, bringing experts in and asking them lots of questions. Obviously, we didn't have time for that, but we did dot voting, and we had a decider in the room, somebody who was making final decisions, and we selected him just by having people pick slips of paper out of a hat, and one piece of paper had the word decider on it, and so he became our CEO for the day, and he picked a target in our map, which was this decision not to take the medications, not that they forget, but that they choose not to. Then on Tuesday, which was in this case about 30 minutes into our session, there was sketching. So quickly we did lightning demos. People had ideas for products or even just concepts that seemed related to the solution, and so they had 5 minutes to do that research and then 2 minutes to do a lightning demo to the entire room to describe the product or service and how they felt like it might be relevant. We had a lot of folks trying to pitch solutions. I shouldn't say a lot, 2 or 3 folks pitching solutions in the lightning demos, but pretty quickly we got back on track, just focusing on demoing things that might be relevant as a way to start to get the creative juices flowing. And you can see in the background there that we had a designer who was capturing big ideas from the concepts that were being demoed. And then finally, in our sketching process was this 4-step sketch, and we skipped the walking around the room and taking notes from what we learned from the experts and the lightning demos just in the interest of time, and had people start to jot down ideas and circle their favorite one. And then we did what's called crazy eights in the book. It was crazy fours in this case, where we folded a piece of paper into eighths or fourths. This is a picture from a different workshop where there's eighths, but in our workshop we did fourths and just had folks take the solution that they picked out that they wanted to sketch for the group and do a couple of variations on those. So they did one per minute, just like the book describes. And then finally, they created a solution sketch on a single piece of paper with 3 sticky notes on it to create kind of a storyboard. Those were posted up around the room. Because we had 40 people, we split into groups of 2, and we did very quick 3-minute critiques of each sketch where a facilitator actually described the sketch so they didn't get bogged down too much in the details as an artist might. People pointed out things that they liked about it, and then the artist added what they had to add, and that was it. Finally, we decided, so we gave people a few minutes to look around the room and just put dots, little dots, next to ideas that they liked, and then that's called a heat map. And then finally a straw poll, so each person got a single red dot to put up and identify which concept they thought was the most interesting. But finally our decider, who had the yellow dots, made the final call. So this was one of the solution sketches that was selected. So then the big question is, what are we going to do with all these solution sketches? And 5 and 6:30, they were going to create a prototype that was worthy of sharing with a customer. So keeping in mind that our goal was to learn, so we couldn't fail, at 6:30 we expected and planned to do a big unveil for the folks at the conference that wanted to see it. So this is what we did. This is what the team pulled together. They created a storyboard, collected clip art, and then described the solution. So in this case, Elsie, there reading, is not taking her medication. She's got a smart pill box there on the table next to her and an Amazon Echo, which showed up in a lot of the solutions that we saw from people in their sketches. And the smart pill box knows that it hasn't been opened and alerts what we were calling an RX club. So a group of people, they could be physically proximal, as this group is, but they don't have to be, that artificial intelligence identifies because they have similar conditions, maybe similar ages, similar medications. But what was key from some of the solution sketches, actually the one that was selected, is that there were similar interests. So their reasons for taking the medication would be to presumably do more of the thing that they were interested in, and if they weren't well because they weren't taking their medication, they wouldn't be able to do it. So it was a group of people that could support one another. And so this is Beatrice, and she gets an alert from her Amazon Show, which is like an Echo, but it has a screen and it's rectangular instead of a cylinder, that says, hey, Elsie hasn't taken her medication, and you might remember that she loves cooking and playing cards. She's in your bridge. Record an encouraging message for Elsie. There's both a spoken request for an encouraging message, and then she can also see on her device the side effects that Elsie is experiencing and reminders of what she's like as a person, that she loves playing bridge and baking for fundraisers. So she leaves a recording, and then Elsie gets a notification from her Echo that Beatrice sent her a message and asked if she'd like to play it. So she hears the message that I know it's hard, the side effects are hard, but try some chamomile tea. When I started this medication, I found it got a lot better within a couple of weeks. And I'm really looking forward to your amazing enchiladas when we play bridge next week. And that's encouraging for Elsie. So she goes ahead and opens her smart pill box and takes her medication. She gets to provide feedback, how she's feeling, if she's still experiencing side effects. And she also gets to provide feedback to the system about whether or not hearing from Beatrice helps. And Beatrice gets to hear about that as well. So she gets to hear that Elsie appreciated the message. So we learned a couple things. Hopefully the workshop participants learned a couple of things too. What we saw was that the folks in this workshop were competitive. We've done this a couple times with different kinds of people, and I don't think that we've seen it quite as competitive as it was here. I don't believe that that was a hindrance. Actually, I think the methodology kind of, I don't know if it accounts for it, but it accommodates it pretty well. We also saw that waiting to come up with a solution was hard. People were struggling very early in the workshop to jump to a solution and to describe to everybody else what they felt the solution was. And they were happy to kind of try to relax and take a step back, but at different steps along the way, we saw different people frustrated that they needed to do the crazy fours when they just had the answer figured out. But in the end, sort of excited to see what that pushed them to uncover beyond their first idea. And that optimism prevails. The folks in this workshop gave us a lot of their time and had faith in the process. Maybe not that we would come up with a great product, but that they would learn something and hopefully enjoy their time. It's possible to learn very quickly, to test a hypothesis very quickly so that we can minimize risk by minimizing the gap between having a hypothesis and testing it. Some folks had never worked with designers before. It was interesting, we had some other designers in the room, so that was fun. And I think they got a chance to work with designers beyond just what does a screen look like, which seemed interesting for them. And then it wouldn't break my heart if they remembered DesignMap. We provide design services for our clients. We design digital products, so for companies like these. So that wraps it up, my quick update, and we are really grateful to Health 2.0 and HIMSS for having us and kind of taking a chance on a workshop like this, which they'd never done before, as well as all the workshop participants who really showed up with lots of energy and enthusiasm and an open mind during the workshop, and then came back at 6:30 to see the fruits of their labor. And the designers, of course, who drove for an hour and a half to come to the workshop and then